There it is.
Wonderful. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our June Proper Romance Book Club live chat. I'm Marilee. I'm one of the admins, and I'm here with author Sian Bessey. Thank you for taking the time out to come and chat with us. And thank you to
Of
Amy
course.
behind the scenes from Shadow Mountain, who's running all the tech stuff for us to make sure that we get to chat with Sian tonight. And we are here to chat about A Time Traveler's Masquerade. Let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. And don't forget, our giveaway this month is an ARC copy of, I think Sian has one.
A Maid of
Daniel.
Sherwood Forest. There it is.
The next book in the series that comes out in November, but you can get an early copy. And to enter the giveaway, every comment you make this month on any of the posts, including this live video, is an entry into the giveaway. So go ahead, comment away. Let us know where you're joining us from. We're going to start out. We have some questions from readers, Sian. We're going to chat about those for a little bit, and then we have a fun game with some friends that we're going to play toward the end. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, you ready to jump right in?
Sure. Yes. And if any of the people who are live right now want to put another question in the comment, we'll try and catch those too.
Yes, I just turned on the comment stream, so I should be able to see if more comments come in. Please ask follow-up questions or any other questions you can think of. Now is your chance. We've got Sian right here. Okay, let's talk about the story in general. A lot of people wanted to know what the inspiration was behind this story. Why you did the time traveling.
Well, I guess those are two questions. The one is why I did a time slip, and the other is why I chose Guy Fawkes, right? So I did a time slip, to be honest, because I was asked if I would give it a try. It wasn't something that I had anticipated doing because it has just that little bit of hint of fantasy in it, which is not normally in my wheelhouse. So it was a little bit of a stretch. But I decided that since I had written contemporary and I had written in multiple different years, that this was something that I could try. So the reason that I chose the Guy Fawkes story was because for a very long time I have wanted to write a Guy Fawkes story. Guy Fawkes is somebody that everybody who lives in the UK knows about. Guy Fawkes Night is celebrated every November 5th. But it's a little bit like, I would say it's a little bit like the 4th of July here in that everybody knows what it's about. But if you were to ask most Americans for a list of names of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence, they may be able to only come up with one or two names. And that's how it is with the Guy Fawkes gunpowder conspiracy. Most people know what it is, but if they were asked who was in the conspiracy, they may only be able to come up with one or two names. So it was really fun for me to do this research, to learn a lot myself,
Right.
And then to bring to life this story that most Americans don't know anything about.
Right. I will confess, I was one of those that had absolutely no clue. I don't know about you guys watching, if any of you had heard of Guy Fawkes. I had no idea it was anything about the history of it or that it was an event in the UK. But I feel like since I read the book, I think it's come up in 3 or 4 different things, like in other books or mentioned on something, or I was in London and there was a plaque for it at the dungeons, the London Castle. And so I feel like now that I know what it is, now it's popping up, and I'm very proud that I can actually say I know.
You know what it's for.
Well, but it's all thanks to you, Sian, because I had no idea.
I don't know. I know that it was strange for a lot of Americans. In fact, kind of a behind the scenes story is many people who are familiar with Shadow Mountain know that the marketing manager, Amy Parker, is from England. And she did tell me that when this proposal went through the committee, that she was so excited because she knew what it was about, and nobody else in the meeting
Right.
knew what we were talking about. And so I was grateful for her vote of confidence, because I'm sure a lot of the other people in that meeting really weren't sure where I was going with this.
Right, or just how popular it is in the UK. But what I love about your books is that you take these real events in history and then you wind this fictional story around them. It's such a fun way to learn history reading your
It
books.
really
And I
is.
felt like I learned a lot about Guy Fawkes' story, but got this great story and this great romance along with a little history lesson. So
Well,
I thought
thanks.
I thought that was fun. Um, yeah, people are saying it was the first time they'd ever heard about Guy Fawkes. So at least I'm not alone.
I
I
didn't
think I think
expect you to be.
yeah, I think most Americans we just never hear about it. But it
Mhm,
sounds like from things you've mentioned, it's a pretty big deal in the UK. There's bonfires and fireworks and
mhm.
it's a whole
Yeah.
big production. So
I think it really is the closest thing that we have to July 4th. Yeah.
it's a big celebration. So it's fun that now we know what it is. Um, somebody says they read a YA fantasy book called Fox that was about it. So that's it's fun to oh, someone said there's a nursery rhyme about it in a book.
Mhm.
That's kind of fun.
It could be the
Um,
Remember, 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. That's actually quoted at the beginning of the book, and it's a little rhyme that most kids in the UK are familiar with.
interesting. Whereas us, we'd have no clue what it was referring to. So I love that you included that um, as a big part of the plot. Okay, next question is about Mrs. McQuibby. Will we
Mhm.
ever find out more about her? And how did you decide on the magic costume shop?
Um, Mrs. McQuivey is going to feature in all of the McQuivey Costume Shop stories. So you will meet her multiple times, and as you meet her, learn a little bit more about her. Um, the costume shop story, um, it's kind of a funny one, I guess. As I said, I was asked if I would think about writing a time slip. And so for the next couple of weeks, my head was just kind of spinning with how can I do this? How can I do this? And so I started to think through what would be the biggest challenges for somebody who unexpectedly slipped through time. And obviously, there are many of them, but one of them is that they arrive in a strange time, in a strange place, looking completely out of place. And so my next thought was, what if they arrived not looking out of place? What if they arrived wearing the right clothing, so that that was one less thing that they had to adjust to, or whatever. So I was literally lying in bed one night. A lot of my writing ideas come to me in bed, which is kind of a weird thing, but that's the way it is. Anyway, I had this idea of a costume shop, and I remember leaning to my husband and banging him awake. I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something. And he's just half asleep. And I said, okay, I have this idea. Do you think this would work? What if I had a character go into a costume shop, put on a costume, come out of the changing room, and they're transported to the era that the costume fits in? And he was like, yep, that would work. And then we rolled over. So the next morning I got on the phone with my editor and I said, would this work? And she was really excited about it. And so anyway, that was how the ball started rolling.
I
But
love it.
yes, we can all thank my husband for giving me the grunt of approval in the
The
middle of the
good.
night for that one.
I love it. I'm glad you remembered the idea the next morning.
Well, yeah,
You
it
never
kept me
know,
awake for a
maybe.
while. So this was one that I wasn't going to forget.
Good. Good. It is ingenious, and I love that, you know, even though they show up in the right clothes, so other people don't recognize right away that, she's out of place. It just adds an extra little element to the story. She's not showing up in jeans and a t-shirt and immediately pegged as somebody who's doesn't belong.
Right.
Um, Somebody's asking, will we need to continue reading this series in order, or will somebody be able to pick up a book from the middle of the series and still understand Mrs. McQuivey and the costume shop?
I think that each book will, I think you can read each book as a standalone. They're designed as a standalone. This kind of goes back to the other question you asked of, you know, will we learn a little bit more about Mrs. McQuivey? Because each story will have different characters going to a different place, they will be standalones. But knowing the magic system, knowing who Mrs. McQuivey is, might help you a little bit, but not completely, because as you're going into the new book, each new character has to learn who she is for themselves. So in that sense, you don't have to read them in order.
Good.
It's a little bit like with the Georgian Gentleman, where you didn't have to read those in order, but if you did, then you understood their connections a little bit better.
Right. So not necessary, but
Right.
You might understand a little bit more or enjoy it a little bit more.
Right.
And why would you not want to read them all? I mean,
that's a really good answer. Thank you.
Why would you not want to? Good. Well, you can thank Mr. Bessey for us and his contribution. What was the most challenging thing about writing a time slip?
Actually, the most challenging thing was not something that I had anticipated. Because I've written contemporary books and I've also written historicals, when you start writing in a certain era, you tailor your language to fit that era. So if you're writing contemporary, obviously you're using contemporary language, you're using contemporary slang, you're using a lot of contractions. When you write in a historical era, the sentence structure changes, you cut a lot of the contractions, and it becomes a little bit more formal. Doing a time slip, for the first time ever, I had on the same page a character speaking modern English and a character speaking historical English. And that was really hard, because normally you just get in the groove and you're writing for that era. But with this one, I was having to flip back and forth, and I kept having to go back and read, is that how she would say it? Is that how he would say it? Because of that. So it's a little bit mind-bending. And I think that was the hardest thing. That, and of course, getting the research right. But I feel like getting the research right is something you have to do for any historical. And so it's not specific to a time slip. But the language, that was a time slip issue.
Right. To go back and forth. Because you can't really get in the groove with the language. You have to keep copying, deleting, going back. Oh, wait, he wouldn't say that. She wouldn't say that.
Right. It got a little bit easier as the book progressed, because then Isla is starting to try and speak like they do. And so you know, in that sense, it became easier. But at the beginning, when she's so different than he is, then it was hard.
Yes. That would be really difficult. Let's see. Was there anything about the time period that you wanted Simon and Isla to talk about but didn't include?
When they were sitting on the rocks and that type of thing. I thought through a lot. I thought through a lot of different subjects that they could talk through when they were discussing the different time periods. And to be honest, I realized that a lot of them, because that's not what the book was about. This was like a secondary conversation that built their relationship. So I couldn't spend an awful lot of time on it. And I realized that a lot of things would be very, very hard to explain to somebody from the 1600s. And so I was limited a little bit by things that were either easier to explain or things that I could quickly explain how she said it, you know? And so I think that if I'd had more time, it would have been fun to talk maybe more about some of the medical advances and some of the technological advances that we have now. But I had to be aware that it would be very hard for Simon to grasp a lot of those things. And so that's why I did what I did. Yeah.
Right. And you don't want to go too far down into those weeds and get wordy explaining all these things that he's not really going to understand anyway. Right. Someone said, every time I say okay, I think of this book. I love that. I think that was in my review too. You don't think about that.
We don't
not
realize
all
how often
said a
we use these
word.
words and how modern they are. Yeah.
Right? That they definitely did not say that back in the 1600s. Okay, I'm just checking to see if we've got any questions. There's a few more we'll touch on at the end about what's coming next. But I think we hit all the ones that people had commented. I don't see any others here. Okay, are you ready to play a little game?
Sure, I'm ready.
We're ready. We have a couple friends joining us tonight to help us with our game. We'll bring them on. Hello,
Hi,
hello.
Esther. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Thank you both so much for being here and being willing to play a fun little game with us. So I'll try and explain how the game works. And Sean, if I mess up or I make it confusing, just jump in and correct me.
I have full faith in you, Marilee. Go for it.
That's never a good idea. So each of these ladies, I gave them 2 words that relate in some way to the book. And so we'll probably have Sean go first since you've done something similar before. So Sean has a word, and she's going to give Amanda and Esther 1-word clues about the hidden word that she has. And they're going to take turns guessing. So Amanda can take a guess. Esther will take a guess. If they don't guess it, Sean's going to give another clue. And we'll go for maybe a minute and a half. At that point, if you can't get it, you're welcome to phone a friend and look in the comments. You guys who are watching, join and see if you can guess the word. I tried to keep them fairly simple, but some of them might be hard to come up with 1-word clues that you can give. So everybody who's watching, feel free to make your guesses in the chat and comment and help these guys out if they need it. Does that make sense? So Sean will do a word, and then maybe Amanda, you can do the second word, Esther, and then they each have 2 words. So we'll see how long it takes to get through.
Are we just shouting out our answers together, or are we taking turns, me and Amanda?
I think taking turns, just because online sometimes it gets tricky when everyone's trying to talk.
Perfect.
Okay,
Right?
you're going to have to calm that competitive tennis spirit.
Right. We all know who's in it to win it now.
That's right. That's right. Watch out, Esther. Here she comes.
Okay. All right, Sean. You guys all got your words, right? Everybody's good?
Okay, we're good.
All right. We'll let
All
Sean
right.
go first.
My first word. All right. I will. Let's see. I'll go to Amanda first. Okay, Amanda, here's your first clue. Explosive.
Gunpowder?
Yes! Good job!
Well, it is a book about the gunpowder plot, so yay!
Yay!
Good
Well,
job.
and you just finished the book like last week.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's nice
that
and fresh.
helps. It's kind of fresh. So
That's great.
Amanda, do you want to do your first word now and give Esther a clue?
yeah. So the first clue, quill.
Ink.
Letter.
Yes. So
right. Of course,
Sean.
referring to the famous letter that was written. Okay.
Okay. Go, Esther.
Esther, you want to give yours to Sean?
Yeah. Saddle.
Horse.
Yes.
Oh,
Man, we are.
we're
all word people, I think.
I should have known. With authors, I should have made them extra hard, knowing this is what you guys do all day.
No,
The
thing is that we're constantly looking up synonyms as we're writing, and so
Yes, but I'm paranoid somebody's going to do one of those articles of clothing in there, because I was like, I can't remember all of them because it's a different period than I normally write in. So that's my fear.
The only thing I remember, and this is totally tattling on Esther, is she and I were at a writing retreat once, and she admitted that she didn't think she could ever set a book in a time period where the men wore hose, because she just couldn't do men in tights.
That's true. I think I said I like my men in pants, but yeah,
That's right.
which is not the right word for England anyway, but yes.
I love that.
Okay.
Good thing you're a Victorian author then.
Yeah.
Seriously. All right, so I guess I'm up next. So, okay, Amanda, clothes.
Oh, this is what we were worried about, right? I'm going to say Farthingale because that's the one that I remembered her most of the time in.
Okay, that's not it. Esther,
Not it. Okay.
Sean, my phone cut out right when you said the word. So could you say it one more time?
Clothes.
Costume.
Good job.
I got it.
Oh my gosh. Esther, you have people agreeing with you in the comments. They like their men in pants. So.
Trousers, really. If you think
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
Trousers. Bloomers.
Trousers. Yeah.
Okay, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
And who, Esther first? Is that?
Yeah.
We're doing, okay, and I'm sorry, this one's a little trickier. But yeah, the first clue, I thought it was Target.
Assassination.
No.
Okay.
But good thought. So.
No, that's, I was like.
Parliament?
Sorry, say it again, Sean. Yes.
Parliament? Oh.
Yeah, because that was the target. So
that was a
Good
good
job.
clue. I didn't know how you were going to do that one.
Yeah, that was a good clue.
I had a few other ideas. I'm like, I could try legislature and
government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we got past that, I'd be like stretching.
So that was great. Okay, I'm next. Ink.
Quill?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was trying to be a little sneaky there.
I need to make the game way harder for you guys next time. Oh my word. Readers were getting them too. I see all their answers. They got all of them as well.
Okay.
And you guys are good at, you guys are wordsmiths. You're just too good.
Well, we're just good friends, and so we can read each other's minds. Maybe
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Mind reading. But it was fun to think of different elements of the story, and how they connected in all the different things. So, couple more questions, but I have a couple questions for Esther and Amanda, if you're okay. Now that we've got you on here. Sean, everybody wants to know how many books are going to be in the series, and if you know, and any hints you want to give about what's coming down the road.
I'm not sure is the answer to how many books. I know there will be at least 3 because number 2 is this one, and I'm working on number 3. So a hint for what I'm working on. The character goes back quite a long time, and he will meet characters that almost all readers will be familiar with, but they may not appear quite the way you know them.
That sounds mysterious. Intriguing. And Maid of Sherwood Forest comes out in November, right?
November 4th.
That's your next release.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Amanda, what have you got coming out next?
I have a World War II novel called Roads of Resistance that comes out in July. And it is a war story, but there's also a love story. So it's not going to feel like a romance novel, but there is a love in there. It's part of the Heirs of Falcon Point historical series. So I've got it here. So
yes, please.
Yay!
I'm so excited.
I'm
so excited for this book.
I love it. I actually read it this week, so I could put a plug in that it's.
Yes, and for those of you who've read
good.
Heirs of Falcon Point, you know that each of us wrote different characters, and my character's ancestor is Ingrid, who is featured in this book, and so I feel like I have a special connection to this book, and I'm excited about it.
I love it. I love all the connections of that whole series and how that world you guys have built is so much fun. Any hints you can give us under what you're working on now, Amanda?
Oh, I just started another book this week, actually. And I don't want to give a whole lot of details, but I'm doing another World War II novel. And as I was drafting it, I realized this is the first time since 2020 that I have drafted a book that's not related to any other book that I've written. So it's not part of a series that, and it's kind of nice to not have to reference previous books I've written. So yeah.
Nice.
Something new, but
start with
familiar era.
Fresh start, new start.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I love your World War II novels. They're always
Thank you.
so much fun to read. Okay, so many fun things to look forward to. Esther, what have you got coming up?
My next release is in February, not quite as close as those guys. Sorry, but I'm super, super excited about it. It's called If You'll Have Me. Actually, Marilee read a beta version of it. So thank you, Marilee.
So good. It's so
Yeah.
good, you guys.
I'm really excited about it. It's a totally new world, new characters, still Victorian. It's a story that I actually have had kind of in my heart for about 3 or 4 years. Like I started it, and this is kind of funny to me, maybe Marilee, for because it's nothing like this now, but it was supposed to be a Christmas short story. And then like I started
Not
writing it, and the
short
character,
story.
no, it's not a short story, and it's not set in Christmas. Yeah. So, but like the characters just kind of came alive, and like their backstories changed a lot. And I realized like this is a book, not a short story. And I just love the characters in it, setting up kind of a new world for me. And yeah, I think it's a little bit has some heavier themes than some of my books, but I think is still really a fun story. So
I would agree. Yes. So good. So there will be more books related to that one. Is that what you're working on now?
I am. I'm working on the second one. There are 3 siblings, and I think the plan is for them to each get a book. And I'm really, yeah, I've just kind of fallen in love with their whole family and the people around them. So I'm really excited. I feel like I was so vague about everything about that, but yeah, it's super, super exciting.
We'll get to see more as it gets a little bit closer, but I don't know if you guys can see the comments. Everyone's very excited for all of these books, all the new things, anticipating all of the new stories coming out. Your authors do an amazing job. So many books to look forward to. Somebody says insert scream. They can't wait any longer for all of these. So you guys are all amazing stories. Sean, anything else you want to tell us about Maids of Sherwood Forest?
No, I hope everyone will really enjoy it. It's been fun to see people's enthusiasm for a new Robin Hood story. And yeah, this one was fun to write. It was I channeled all of my Disney Robin Hood and Errol Flynn, our Robin Hood, and it was just really fun.
Yeah, it's fun because you keep the characters that we love, but the story is its own story. It's so much fun.
And because, as most of my readers know, because I love history so much, I did go back to some of the original Robin Hood legends for this story. And so I tried to stay as true to the old legends as I could, which was fun too.
Yay. Okay, so November 4th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep an eye out for that one. So reminder to everybody, the giveaway will stay open until through Monday, right? End of the month. We'll keep the giveaway open. You can go back and comment on any of the posts from the whole month. You can watch this video, comment as you go, and we will pick a winner and announce the winner on Tuesday, and they will get to read an early copy of Maid of Sherwood Forest. Thank you for joining us. You ladies are all amazing. Appreciate you taking the time out to be here. Happy reading, everybody, and let us know in the posts and comments, what do you think of Time Traveler's Masquerade? Such a fantastic book. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.